That is, again, a huge statistic. So if you notice that someone that you know is is talking constantly about death, if they make comments such as, well, the world is better off without me, or nobody would notice if I were gone, or if they are giving away some of their prized possessions, these are telltale signs that somebody is considering suicide, and you should definitely reach out to them and talk to them. On the screen here I have a suicide help website and a suicide hotline, so that you can reach out to these if you notice that somebody is feeling this way or showing symptoms that they may be considering suicide. It's very important that you reach out to these individuals if you notice that they have any of these tendencies. So the final thing we're going to talk about today is how you as parents can help your child if they are being cyberbullied, or if they, or to prevent them from being cyberbullied. So one of the most important things that you can tell your child is to not share their passwords with their friends. Because even though Sally is their best friend today, tomorrow she may be their worst enemy. So if Sally has their password to their Facebook, she may log on and pretend to be your child, post things that maybe your child doesn't want on there, or cyberbully other people posing as your child, and there's no way to prove that it was not your child that was doing it. So it's very important to understand that sharing passwords is not something that you should do with friends. However, it is very important for the child to share the password with you. And this works in two different ways. So if your child is experiencing a cyberbullying experience, you can log on. Maybe your child does not feel comfortable coming to you. If you log on and see that this is happening, you can go to them and say, hey, what's going on with Jimmy? I see that he's been sending you some mean messages. You want to talk about it. And it also may act as a scare tactic for your child not to cyberbully anybody else. So if they're going to post something and they have in the back of their mind, hey, mom and dad have my password, maybe I shouldn't write this, so that they can log in and see that I'm saying these things, so I really want them to see this. So that can definitely help your child from becoming a bully. And it's important to talk to your children about online safety, because the internet has become such a commonplace in our society. It's often overlooked that the internet is a very scary place, and that bad things can happen on the internet. So if you talk to your child about how their safety online is important, and how it's important that if they see anything that's happening online, that they tell somebody, or that they don't cyberbully anybody else, because they may not realize the ramifications that can come from it, but if you talk to them about it, they'll understand that. It's also important to know what sites your child is on. So as you guys had seen with the differences between the social media in 2011 and 2015, social media is constantly changing. And because of this, it's important to know exactly what sites your child is on to understand the possible side effects that can come from them being on these websites. So if you know that they're on AskFM, you might want to keep track of them and say, hey, what are you doing on this website now? Is there anything you want to tell me about it? Or, and obviously there's more of a risk of them being on AskFM than if they were on Pinterest or something like that, because there's such a big difference between the two websites. If an incident of cyberbullying occurs, make sure that you save the messages or the pictures or whatever form the cyberbullying comes in as proof of the bullying incident. So when I had my bullying incident, I immediately saved the messages I sent them to my mom. Luckily, it did not progress anymore, and we didn't have to go through with anything with them. But we have those messages so that we have, this is what happened on this date at this time, and this is exactly what was said. So that it would be definitely important if you go through with an investigation through the school or something like that. It's important to have those messages. And then it's also important to set aside technology-free time. So this can help to kind of put the world into perspective for your child, so they understand that their world does not have to revolve around what they do online. And it can also help if your child is being cyberbullied. They can look forward to well, I just have to get through to Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and I can sit down with my family and not have to worry about the bullies for an hour, or something like that. So technology and free time can definitely benefit. Even if they're not being cyberbullied, they can just understand that they can sit down and step away from the media, and their world's not going to shatter. So, so just in conclusion, it is definitely important to understand that the internet is a big, scary place, but it can also be very useful. So if you understand the consequences that can come, but also the benefits that can happen, you can talk to your child about this and how they can use this to their best advantage. So I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight. These are some of the sources that I used for my presentation, and if there are any questions, I'll take them now.
I think one of the biggest things that I've seen just in the past few years isn't it like blatant cyberbullying where they're saying something mean about somebody, but it's the posting of pictures where they're all at a party together to purposely exclude somebody else.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
That they see it. Like I think that's really prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And dangerous because then people feel left out.
Mm-hmm.
That's another problem.
Definitely.
Desiree, what were those? You had a phone number and a website?
Yeah, definitely. So these can be very helpful if you know anybody that may be thinking about suicide or things like that.
Do you find that girls are more likely to be bullied than boys?
Yes, so there has been studies that show that cyberbullying is more prevalent in girls than it is in boys, and this is just the tendency of the female culture. They tend to tear each other down more than boys do.
Has there been studies about the rates of suicide for the older than that age group? Because I just remember like hearing the news recently, a lot of the college age kids that are...
Yeah, there's definitely it's prevalent among higher ages than this one. This was just the age range that has risen the most within the past couple of decades. So that I haven't come across like any statistics specifically about other age groups, but it definitely is an issue among all of adolescents and early young adults.
You mentioned up there about making bullying a social taboo. Is it a social taboo?
Not necessarily. Many students that are, or young children that are on websites they see it happening, and they don't necessarily say anything because they don't want to be associated with it. So if we make it so that the person is getting messages from other people saying, "Why are you doing this? You shouldn't be doing this. Don't do this." That would definitely help to stop the cases of cyberbullying. So it's not as bad as you would think. Like it's not looked down upon within the online community as much as it should be.
So in New Jersey, it's the harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So it was in school functions, school buses, or in school?
Yeah, so it's school property, school-sponsored functions, or on school buses.
So then how are they protected if it's happening like at night and it's...
So it's also basically anything that affects the student's schoolwork. So if they're coming in to tell a teacher, say, this is happening to me when I go home from school, because it is affecting them in school, the school can still conduct an investigation on the bullying experience.
And then what?
So the school goes through a whole investigation looking at this is what's happening, and I'm not sure 100% about like what goes on within those investigations, but they look into like how, like what exactly happened, and then from there the bully can be like taken out of school or things like that, depending on how severe it is.